This conference will now be recorded.
So today let us see one of the important tool and very simple tool, that is JUnit 5 tool. The version is 5. Now, so before we go to this JUnit, before we go with this JUnit, first of all let us understand what is the meaning of this unit testing. What is the unit testing? Right? What is unit testing? So the meaning of unit is like whenever we write a program, inside a class we'll be having the methods, the business methods. Means where we do some business logic. So once we write the method, we want to check whether that method is performing as expected or not. So such type of testing, whether the method is performing as expected or not, we call it as unit testing. So unit means you can consider like a method. So unit testing is a type of software testing where individual units of a software are tested. Now, the main purpose is the purpose of unit testing is to validate that each unit of the software code performs as expected. Meaning, when you write a method and when we invoke the method will give some result back to us. Whatever the result the method is returning, that we call it as the actual result. So to check whether that method is working as expected or not, so we have to compare our actual result with the expected result. If our actual result and expected result are same, that means the test case is pass. The test case is validated. Now, unit testing is done during the development phase. So during the development time only, when you are writing the code only, at that time only we need to perform the unit testing. So unit testing is done during the development phase of an application by the developers only. Who has to do this? Unit testing need to be taken care by the developers, not testing team. Once the total code is completed, then we submit our total application to the testing team to check whether the application is performing as expected or not. Okay, whereas unit testing, we have to go to every individual unit and check whether it is performing as expected or not. So this should be done by the developers. So unit means a part of code. Testing should be done on the complete application. Now, so to do this unit testing only, we make use of this JUnit framework. So what is this JUnit is? JUnit is a free and open source unit testing framework. JUnit is what? It's an open source unit testing framework for Java developers. It's for Java developers. The JUnit was developed by Netpeck and Erich Kama. Now, in this JUnit, we have to just learn some annotations, which we call it as JUnit 5 annotations. Like the annotations are like @test, @parameterize test, then @value source, CSV source and at the rate disable to make our test case as disabled test case. These are the some of the important annotations what we are going to use. Now, in this JUnit, we are having some important term called as assertions. JUnit assertions. So what are these JUnit assertions? Is JUnit 5 assertions are used to validate the expected output with the actual output of a test case. So once we create a test case, the main thing of test case is what? We have to check whether our expected output is equal to the actual output, whether both are same or not. So to compare that expected with actual only, we make use of these assertions. Assertions are static methods. They are what? They are static methods that we call in the test case. Methods to verify the expected behavior. So in our test case, we are going to call these methods. Then all JUnit Jupyter assertions. So this JUnit 5, even we call it as Jupyter version. All JUnit 5 Jupyter assertions are present in org.jnit.jupyter.assertions class. So these all JUnit assertion methods are present in which class? Assertion class, present in the package org.jnit.jupyter package. Then, so what are these assertion methods? Are JUnit assertion methods. They are assert equals and assert not equals. Assert true and assert not true, sorry, false. Assert true, assert false. So to check whether the method is returning true or whether the method is returning false. Then assert null, to check whether the method is returning null value. Assert not null, right? We are having even assert throws also to check whether the method is throwing some exception. Okay. Now these are some of the important assertion methods. Now let us understand all these terms, whatever we discussed, by using an example application. So when you create a class with some methods, how to check whether the method is performing as expected or not. So let us go with the complete example. Just a second. Example application. So the first step, create a Maven project. Let us go with a Maven project. Open Eclipse. So I've taken a new workspace JUnit. Let us create one new Maven project. So click next here. Then in catalog, select internal. In artifact ID, Maven-archetype quick start. Then go with the group ID. I'm giving it as JUnit 5. Artifact ID, the project name, JUnit 5 project. And package, let me say com.service. Click on finish button. The project will get created. Press enter key. So to create a Maven project, click on file, new, Maven project, click next. In catalog, select internal. In artifact ID, select Maven-archetype quick start. Then click next. It will ask you the group ID. So in the group ID, we are giving it as JUnit 5. Artifact ID, JUnit 5 project, the project name, then package, com.service. Click finish. Click finish. Then, once the project is created, now we need to add the project dependencies. Add the following dependencies in between dependencies element of pym.xml file. So here, open this pym.xml file of the project. So here, whenever we create Maven project, by default it is adding the JUnit dependency. But as we are going to work with JUnit 5, the Jupyter version, here we have to change the version, 5 version. So here, go with the group ID, like JUnit.jupyter. Okay, and artifact ID, it is JUnit-Jupyter-engine. JUnit-Jupyter-engine, and version is 5.5.2. Just I'm going with the version 5.5.2, and the scope is the test. Scope is for test case. So during the testing time, when you are testing your application, at that time only the libraries will get loaded. That is the meaning of scope as test here. Now, so we need to add one more dependency here. One more dependency, JUnit params, means whenever you want to go with the parameters test, this one. So whenever you want to go with this parameters test cases, we make use of this one more dependency we need to add, that is JUnit Jupyter params. JUnit Jupyter params. Then one more dependency we need to add here is JUnit platform runner. org.junit.platform. Then here we have to go with JUnit platform runner. Right, and the version is 1.5.2. right. So these are the 3 dependencies we need to add in pym.xml file in order to work with JUnit. Right, so you can just copy the code from pym.xml file and paste it. Right, now this is the setup required in order to work with JUnit, just adding the dependencies in pym.xml file. Clear up to here, all of you? Any questions? So after adding the dependencies, now let us go with the application. Create a class. Let us create a class. Create a class. Let me go with the name calculator. Any class you can take. In com.service package of src main Java folder of JUnit 5 project. Okay. Now open Eclipse. Here under src main Java, you can see the package com.service. Right click on this package and say new. class. Let me go with the name calculator. Any class you can take, any business class. Now, so finish. So we are creating a class calculator. Let us go with some methods inside this class like public integer add, which takes two arguments, integer n1, integer n2. Integer n1, integer n2, where we return the addition of these two numbers. Let us create one more method, public integer multiply, where we take the two arguments, integer n1, integer n2, where we return the product of these two numbers, n1 into n2. So like that you can create class with some methods. Now the main objective is how to write the test case for your methods. So whatever the method we create, this we call it as unit. So I want to check whether this unit is performing as expected or not. So now we have to test this class here. So now we have to create the test case. So how to create test case here? To create a JUnit test case for calculator class. So how to create test cases is, we have to right click here. Let me show. We have to right click on calculator.java. So whatever the file name you have taken, now right click on calculator.java and say new other, new other. Here you can find Java. Under Java you can see JUnit. Under Java you can see JUnit. Under JUnit you can see JUnit test case. Now select this and say next. Here we have to see here. See the version what it's selecting. See JUnit Jupyter test. So JUnit 5 version, even we call it as Jupyter version. Now here go with the source folder. See source folder it is taking see src test Java. The .java files, the source codes are created in src main Java. The test cases are created in src test Java. Let me go with the package name com.service.test. Then see the name of the class, how it is taking, see calculator test. So whatever the class name we have taken, it will just add calculator, same class name test. It will end with test word here, right? Now just have changed only this package name. You can even go with the same package, no problem. Now click on next button. Here it is going to ask you for which methods you want to write the test cases. So in this calculator class, I want to test case methods for add method and multiply. So make a check mark here and say finish. Make a check mark and say finish. See here, it has created a class calculator test with the test case method. See how it starts a test add. The method name is add. Then it's going to create the method test add, test multiply, and say it is annotated with the annotation @testing, means these methods are test case methods. To mark it as test case methods, we have to use annotation @test here. Okay. Now, how to create test case? Right click on calculator.java and say new other Java. Under Java you can say JUnit. Under JUnit you can find JUnit test case. Now in the package, go with the name com.service.test, and the name it takes automatically calculator test. Then click next. Then make check mark to add and multiply and click finish. That's it. And click finish. You can refer the program calculator test. Right? Now let us write the test case methods. Now let us go inside the code and write the test case. Go back here in Eclipse. So go to these methods one by one. Test add. So what we do in this test add is create object of your business class calculator calc equal to new calculator. Then now call the method here integer actual result. So what do you mean by actual result? When you call the actual method, whatever the result the method is returning, that we call it as actual result. So by using object, call the method add and pass the values 10, 5. Right? So we are by using the object of calculator, we are calling the actual method. So whatever the result the actual method is returning, that we store it into actual result. Now say integer expected result. So when you add these two values 10 and 5, what is our expected result? 15. Now we have to compare our expected with actual. How to compare is by using a method asset equals. By using a method asset equals, compare your expected result with the actual result. Compare your expected with actual result. So this asset equals is a method present in assertions class. So up to now we have discussed that when we say import, we can import only packages. But observe, we are even importing a class here. So, but we have added a static keyword. So this concept we call it as static imports. Whenever we use import static, we call it as static imports. And this feature got added in Java 7 version, static imports. So what is this static import is? Whenever we take a class which contains some static methods, static members. If I want to access the static members, how to access static members? Using the class name, right? Assertions dot asset equals, right? We can access this method. Since it is static method, we should able to access it using the class name. Now I want to call this method without using the class name. That means I want to access the static members of a class without using class name. Then we make use of this concept static imports. So in the case of static imports, say import static, the package name dot class and star. Star indicates all the static members I can able to access without using the class name. So that is the feature of static imports. Now here we are comparing your expected with actual. Now similar way, test multiply. So just copy the same piece of code, come to this method and call the method calculator dot multiply. So when you multiply 10 and 5, what is our expected? 15. Now you compare your expected with actual. That's it. Now once we prepare the test case, now we have to run our test case. How to run is right click in this program area, right click on calculator test.java and say run as, and you can see now JUnit test. Now when you run this, see we are getting a green bar. So if you are getting a green bar, that means the test case is pass. So how many test cases it has run? See 2 by 2 means 2 test cases. No errors, no failures. Right? So if you are getting green bar, means all the test cases are passing. So when you get green bar only, then only we have to submit our application to the testing team. So this should be taken care by developers only. Now see, if I in the multiply method, if I say instead of star, if I say slash here, I'm doing division operation. Now if I run our test case, right click and say run as JUnit test. See we get a red bar here. We get see a red bar. So if you are getting red bar, that means the test case is failed. So we are getting failed in test multiply method. The failures are 1 here. So if you are getting green bar means all test cases are passed. Even one test case fails also, we get red bar here. Right? Clear all of you how to go with JUnit testing? It's a very simple one. Run the test case. How to run? Right click on calculator test.java and say run as JUnit test. If all test cases are pass, then it displays a green bar. If any test case fails, then it displays a red bar, right? So this is our first application. Clear all of you? Any questions? Now moving to the next one, parameterized test. Parameterized test using @value sorts. Now, so if the method is going with some parameters, I want to test that method for multiple parameter arguments. I want to test the method with the different argument values. Then we go with this parameterized test. Now, for this, go with the programs. Palindrome check.java, then palindrome check test.java. This is our test case. Okay, so this we have to run the test case. Let me elaborate this using the codes. Now right click on com.service and say new class palindrome check. Palindrome check. Now in this class, let us create a method public boolean is palindrome. So what is palindrome? When you take a string, if you reverse the string, if our given string and reverse string are same, then we call it as palindrome. Now we are creating a method is palindrome. Now write the logic here, string reverse equal to with an empty space. Now whatever the string we have taken, this string we have to reverse it. That reverse we store it into this reverse string. So for int I equal to str dot length minus 1. This is the logic of reversing. I'm not elaborating the reverse logic here. Just say reverse equal to reverse plus str dot character at I. So what we are doing, just we are going with the string, what are the string we have taken. So that string we are start taking the characters from last. So we are taking the length of the string minus 1 and until you reach 0. So we are pulling out one character from last from the string and adding it to the reverse here. Okay. So now I'm not elaborating more of the logic of this reverse. Now you just compare. If our given string dot equals reverse, if our given string and reverse are same, then we are going to return true. Else we return false. Right? So if the string is palindrome, it's going to return true. If it is not palindrome, it's going to return false. So this is the logic what you have created. Now we want to test this method now. So how to write the test case is right click. We have to right click on palindrome check and say new other JUnit Java JUnit test case. Then see the package name. Let me take com.service.test. Then class names you have it as taken, see palindrome check test. It will add the word test here after the class name. Now click on next button. So for which method you want to write test case is palindrome. So make a check mark here and say finish. Then see it writes the codes here. It has taken the method test is palindrome and annotated as @test. Now understand carefully. Now I want to test these methods for different parameters. So in that case, what we do, we go with the annotation @parameterized test. We go with what annotation @parameterized test. Now we want to test this method for different arguments. So let us take the argument for this test case string str. Now I want to send some parameters to this argument. So how to send this @value source. @value source strings equal to pass the strings in between curly braces like this. Madam, radar, literal, like this. Okay, race car, or these are palindromes. Now what it is going to do? So during testing time, it will take one argument and pass to this str. Take one argument and pass to this str. So this test case is now verified for how many times? 4 times, since we are passing 4 parameters here. So whenever you want to test a method for different parameter arguments, then we make use of this @parameter as a test, and how to pass the argument values using value source. Now write the code inside the test case method. So what we have to do, we have to call our actual method, call the actual method. So create object of palindrome check, is equal to new palindrome check. Now call the actual method, boolean actual result equal to, by using object of palindrome check, call the method is palindrome and pass your string. So now this method is executed for how many times? 4 times, as we are passing 4 arguments here. Now check here, asset true of actual result. Check whether it is returning true or not. Import the packages. Now run this test case. How to run? Say right click and say run as JUnit test. See, we are getting the green bar. How many tests it has done? See, 4 runs, because we are passing 4 arguments here. Now if you pass an argument like Java, then see, since it is not palindrome, when you run this test JUnit test case, then see we get red bars here, because Java is not a palindrome. Right? Clear with this example? How to go with parameter as a test? Yeah. One more. Parameterize it test using @CSV source. CSV stands for comma separated values. CSV stands for what? Comma separated values. Now, let us understand this with the programs. Even or odd dot Java. Now write the test case. Even or odd test.java. This is our test case. So run this test case. Here, let us go with the codes. Simple. Right click on com.service package and say new class even or odd. Now, inside this method, let us create a method. Inside the class, let us create a method even or odd number. So this will pass one integer as argument, the number. Now, if this method is, if the number is even, then we are going to return a string even, else we'll return the string odd. So just we are verifying whether the given number is even or odd here. Now, how to check? See, if number mod 2 equal to 0, then we are going to return a string value even, else we are going to return odd here. Right? So if the given number is even, we return a string value even, else odd here. A simple logic. Now go with the parameters test case. How to create? See, how to create test cases? Right click on even or odd and say new other Java JUnit test case. Go with the package name com.service.test and class name even or odd test. Click on next button. Now for which method you want to write test case, even or odd number, make a check mark and say finish. Now since I want to test this method for parameterize it, so we have to annotate it as parameterize it test. Then now I want to pass comma separated values, then we use @CSV source. CSV source. Now, so this method takes the argument like test even or odd number. Test case method takes two arguments, integer input, string expected result. So if our input is even number, then expected should be even. If our input is odd, expected result should be a string value odd. Now we are having two arguments passed to this test method. Now we have to go with @CSV source, and the values what we are going to pass is value equal to 10 comma even. Means if this is our input, 10 will come and input, and what is our expected? Even will come and store into expected result. So like that you can pass multiple. 7 comma odd. Then comma 12 comma even. Then 15 comma odd, like this. Okay, just we have to pass comma separated values. Import the packages. So this 10 will come and store into input, even will come and store into expected result. Similarly, 7 will come and store into input, odd will come and store into expected. So this method is tested for how many times now? 4 times in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 4 times it's going to test. Now, write the code. Create object of our actual business class, even or odd, equal to new, even or odd. So we are creating object of our class. Now, say here string actual result equal to even or odd dot call the actual method even or odd number and pass our input. So when you pass this input 10, it's going to return the actual result. Now we have to compare whether our actual and expected are same. How to compare? Asset equals your expected result with our actual result. So we are comparing whether this expected result and actual result are same using this asset equals. That's it. So this method will be tested for how many times? 4 times, because we are passing 4 argument values here. So 10 comma even, 7 comma odd, 12 comma even, and 15 comma odd. Now run this test case, right click and say run as JUnit test. So we can see green bar. See how many runs it has done. See 4 runs. Now if I say 15 as even, then the test case will fail. See here, when you run as test case, we get see red bar because it's failed here. For this case, it has failed because 15 is not even, it's a odd number, right? So please practice this. One time practice is enough. And once we enter into the projects, automatically we are going to work with JUnit tool. It's a very, very simple tool here. So please practice all these things. Then in tomorrow's class, let us go with one more new important topic, microservices. So tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll be working on the topic microservices using Spring Boot. Right? Thank you all. Thank you.